Mm-hmm.
And we're live.
We are live.
Okay, so very quick recap. Yesterday we had many shitot of when the time of Shchiva begins. The Shachmacha begins either. We had many shitot in this Braita. Tzeitek HaChavim was the classic one from our Mishnah. We also found that there was shitot that said that they were the time that an ani begins to eat, and the Gemara concluded that was later than Tzeitek HaChavim, not the same time. And there was a shita of Bnei Adam that eat regular dinner. There was also after Tzeitek HaChavim. There was a shita of Rabbi Eliezer in the Braita at the time of Shkia, and the way he said that was Misha shekidesh hayom be'ave Shabbatot. There was a shita of Rabbi Meir during the day hours when the Kohanim are still able to be tovel, and there was also the shita of Rabbi Meir in the other Braita, in this Braita, that said the time that people eat their meal on Friday night. Now, Rabotai, when we say Braita, we mean it's similar to a Mishnah, which is written by the Tanaim. The Tanaim were the sages that lived in the era of when the Mishnah was written. Not all of their teachings made it to the Mishnah. Most of the teachings did not. Many of them were left out. Rebbe only took so to speak, the finest of the fine and encapsulated all the teachings in the Mishnah. That was Rebbe's work. All the other teachings that we have of theirs, which the Gemara always, deals with in every single sugya, are called Braitot. Braitot means outside. They're outside, but they're still, every word has to be reckoned with. And they're written by the Tanaim. The Gemara is a later era which came to understand, dissect, and clarify the Mishnah. So we've been dealing with many Braitot. Braitot is in plural, Braita. All these teachings of the Tanaim which either concur or argue with our Mishnah about the time that Kriyat Shema begins. And that's why we're mentioning all these different opinions. Okay, so today the Gemara begins 4 lines from the bottom on Daf Bet Amud Bet. 2b near the bottom by the 2 dots, 4 lines. Amar Mar. Amar le Rabbi Yehuda. If I say anything that's unclear, you don't understand, please feel free to ask me. Amar le Rabbi Yehuda. Whenever the Gemara says Amar Mar, they're re-quoting something that we have learned before in a Braita. So the master has taught in the Braita. What does it say there? It said that Rabbi Meir said, when is the Zman for Kriyat Shema v'Shach B'cha? The Zman is at the time that the Kohanim immerse themselves in the mikveh to become pure. Now, the truth is, the Kohen, let's get this clear, can go to the mikveh at night as well. He doesn't only have to go during the day hours. But if he goes at night, that's the beginning of the new day. Right? So if he goes so then he'll have to wait till the next night to become, and then after that night's morning to bring the korbanot. Because what you always need, what's necessary for a Kohen to purify himself completely is mikveh and then herev shemesh. Then the sun has to set. So the longest wait for a Kohen to wait for the sun to set is to go to the mikveh at the beginning of the night. Because he has the whole night and the whole day to wait for the next sunset. So when Rabbi Meir says at the time that the Kohanim are able to go to the mikveh, he means the shortest amount of time that the Kohen would have to wait, which would be a minute before sunset. You can go whenever you want. It's just a matter of how long you want to wait for the next time. So that's what he's referring to when Rabbi Meir says that. Therefore, Rabbi Meir says, Misha she'hakohanim tovlim, that's a minute before sunset, the sun is still shining. So Rabbi Yehuda said to him, if you remember yesterday, the Gemara quotes that now, Amar lei Rabbi Yehuda said to him, V'halo kohanim mibod yom hem tovlim? Don't kohanim go to the mikveh mibod yom while it's still day? That's all he had to tell him. And it was self-understood what he was saying. He was saying, how can you call that b'shach b'cha? How can you say that's a time that people go to sleep? That wouldn't fit. So the Gemara says, Shapir ka'amar lei Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir. How beautiful did Rabbi Yehuda say to Rabbi Meir? Rabbi Yehuda seems to be saying a very solid point here. So the Gemara wants to understand Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir, hachi ka'amar lei. Rabbi Meir was saying to Rabbi Yehuda as follows. Mi savre ta'ana ben hashmashot didach ka'amina? You think that I'm talking... Now, ben hashmashot means there's a twilight period, which is not day and not night. We know that exists. There's a certain amount of time that exists between day and night. So you have to make sure you go to the mikveh, right, before that time. And then you got the cut, you just made the cutoff. Now, Biat Shimsho, the sun sets all the way, now you can have, the Tvul Yom goes off, and you're good. So he said, do you think I was talking about your Ben Hashmashot? Which is what we go with. Our Ben Hashmashot depends on the Shitot, but it starts by Shkia, and it takes some time to get to Tzeit HaKochavim. Depends how many minutes each Shita, 30 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever it is. He says, do you think I'm speaking about your Ben Hashmashot? That the Kohen goes into the mikveh before that Ben Hashmashot begins, during the day hours, when the sun was still shining? No. Ana, if that would have been the case, you're 100% right. Ana Ben Hashmashot Rabbi Yossi Kamina. I am speaking about the Shita of Rabbi Yossi. The Am Rabbi Yossi, Ben Hashmashot keheref ayin. Ze nichnas v'ze yotze. He says, V'ef shala amod alav. Ben Hashmashot is like the blink of an eye. That's the word keheref ayin. This one enters and this one leaves. The night enters and the day leaves. V'ef shala amod alav. You're not able to stand over it, literally, which means you're not able to point it out. Nobody can say, oh, right now it's too fast. And therefore, the Ben Hash, you know when the day ends? The day ends a blink of an eye before 3 medium stars come out. So it's already very dark, but it's still daytime, 100%. Therefore, the Kohanim are able to enter the mikveh. And it's still daytime, have a good day, just like now. Everybody says good morning now, right? Right? It's still dark. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing according to Rabbi Yossi. It's dark, the sun already set, shki'ah, sunset, but sunset has no bearing, has no effects on the day. The day still continues. It's daytime. The Kohanim go into the mikveh. It's dark, but it's still, and it's b'shach b'cha. People are going to sleep at that time. But it's still daytime. And therefore, as long as they go in before a second before Tzeit HaKochavim, they entered the mikveh at daytime. However, that's the time that you say Kriyat Shema, because it's the time of b'shach b'cha. So here we have a shita, an opinion, that you can say Kriyat Shema at the time of going to sleep, although it's daytime. It's amazing. That's Rabbi Meir's shita. Because the Torah doesn't say day and night. You should say Kriyat Shema day and night. It says, accept the yoke of heaven when you wake up in the morning and when you go to sleep. Not necessarily day and night. So far, we've been all the shitot are nighttime. But according to Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi in this Braita, they're actually saying Kriyat Shema while it's still the same day as Uvkumecha, as that morning when you said Kriyat Shema. However, it's the time to go to sleep. And that's what I meant when I said they go at the time that the Kohanim enter the mikveh. Okay? So the Gemara says it's a very nice answer, but the problem is we have another thing that we have to deal with Rabbi Meir. Kasha de Rabbi Meir ad Rabbi Meir. This is the strongest question that you can kind of ask in a Gemara. Sometimes the Gemara asks questions according to logic. It doesn't really make sense. Sometimes the Gemara asks the question, how can an Amora are those who explain the Tanaim, the earlier sages of the Mishnah, the ones who lived in the time of when the Gemara was written, the Amoraim ask on each other from Mishnayot, from earlier texts and earlier sources. That's a very strong question also. How can you rule like this if the Mishnah elsewhere says not like you? But the strongest question is when something is self-contradictory, when one man alone doesn't live up to his own teachings. That's how I saw it in many Sfarim. And that's what the Gemara is asking. Rabbi Meir himself taught something else elsewhere. In this Braita we just mentioned, he said when the Kohanim enter the mikveh, we just explained it, that it's really when it's dark already, because he is of the opinion, like Rabbi Yossi, that Ben Hashmashot, this little twilight period, really lasts for 1 second before 3 stars come out, and it's already well into the darkness of the day. I don't want to say night, it's not night. Night only begins now. However, if you remember, the Braita, the teaching that we had in the middle of yesterday's page, brought a Braita, and Rabbi Meir was the first opinion, and he said at the time that people eat the Sudot on the night of Shabbat. So the Gemara says, well, what does that mean? So now, that's not the time, that's not 1 second before 1 second before Tzeit HaKochavim. So, the Gemara answers, today Tanai Aliba de Rabbi Meir. Okay? And what do you say, Shmuel? You said it was later, right? Correct. So one of them is 2 seconds before Tzeit HaKochavim, one of them is after Tzeit HaKochavim. So the Gemara says you're 100% right. These 2 teachings of Rabbi Meir were taught by 2 different sages, and they are actually argued about what Rabbi Meir held. Rabbi Meir held one thing, but there was a machloket, an argument of what he held.
Does it matter when they went into the mikvah and when they went out? Because it's a very small period of time.
Well, they have to come out before the Ben Hashmashot.
Okay.
Right. That's a good question. I think it's brought down actually that you're not tahor until you come out. Yeah.
So they have to come out before it's...
That's what I think I saw. When you go into the mikveh, you're not tahor.
He doesn't have enough
I
time.
don't know. I don't want to say that in halacha, but I think... What?
He
No?
doesn't have enough time. If he goes in right before, he's not going to come out.
So what it means is that his head or his finger, something here has to come out.
Okay.
That's what it means to go to the mikveh. Whatever going to the mikveh means. But that moment has to be right before the second of Ben Hashmashot. Okay. But the Gemara has a similar question on Rabbi Eliezer. It says, Kasha de Rabbi Eliezer ad Rabbi Eliezer. Same type of contradiction. Rabbi Eliezer said that the time is, to say Kriyat Shema is the time that Shabbat turns holy, becomes holy. When is that? Shkia. Right? But what did Rabbi Eliezer say in our Mishnah? That was the Braita, yes. That was the first opinion in the Braita. What was our Mishnah? At the beginning of the Masechet yesterday, Rabbi Eliezer was the first opinion.
That's so true.
And that's Atzof Hashmor Rishon, that's the end zman. And what's the beginning time? Rabbi Eliezer? Misha she'akaonim nichnasin le'echol betrumatan. The time that the Kohanim eat truma, that's Tzeit HaKochavim. That's way after Shkia. So Rabbi Eliezer himself seems to be saying something else. So the Gemara says, today Tana'i aliba de Rabbi Eliezer. That's the first answer. either like the same answer that we just said, that there's a machloket what Rabbi Eliezer held. The iba itema, or if you want, you can answer something else. Reisha lav Rabbi Eliezer he. The Reisha, the beginning of our Mishnah. Although if you read the Mishnah, what does the Mishnah say? It says me'ematai korin kriyat shema be'avin. When do we read kriyat shema be'avin? So the next words are not Rabbi Eliezer. Misha she'hakohanim nichnasim lechol betrumatam. Those are the words of, let's say, Rabbi Yoshua or the Chachamim that we saw yesterday. The time that the Kohanim eat truma, that's Tzeit HaKochavim. When is the end time? At Sof HaShmura HaRishonah Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer was only speaking about the end time. When the Gemara quotes, when the Mishnah quotes Rabbi Eliezer, it's not quoting Rabbi Eliezer on the entire clause, the whole clause. It's just on the second half of that clause, when it says the end time of B'shach B'cha is at Sof HaShmura HaRishonah, at the end of the first third of the night, Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's Rabbi Eliezer. But Rabbi Eliezer's opinion about when it begins is actually Shki'ah, as he says in the Braita at the time that Shabbat becomes holy. Okay, that's the second answer.
So it's like he says one thing and then he emphasizes it in the second one? Is that what it is?
No. I'll try to say the Mishnah now in English, so it'll be a little clearer. It's like this. The Mishnah said in English, when do we read Kriyat Shema? And the Mishnah told you two things. Told you when you start and when you end. So the first half of the sentence was, you can start saying Kriyat Shema when the Kohanim eat Truma. We know that means Tzeit HaKochavim. When the three stars come out. Rabbi Eliezer wasn't speaking. Even though the end of the sentence was, these are the words of Rabbi Eliezer, he wasn't talking yet. That was the Mishnah, there was a different opinion. The next half of the sentence was, until when? I can say Kriyat Shema from Tzeit HaKochavim until when? I didn't say, it's already past Tzeit HaKochavim. Can I still say it? Yes, you can still say it. Until when? Says the Mishnah, until the first third of the night. These are the words of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer was only in the second half of the statement. The until part. He was not, we weren't quoting him. He wasn't the author of the Mishnah, of the first part of the Mishnah. When the Mishnah said, when do we begin Kriyat Shema? At the time that the Kohanim eat Tirumah. That's not the words of Rabbi Eliezer. That's the words of the Chachamim in the Braita, or Rabbi Yehoshua. We saw that they all said Tzeit HaKochavim. The second half of the sentence is when Rabbi Eliezer's words begin. Until the end of the first third of the night. What was Rabbi Eliezer's opinion about when you can begin? A different opinion, and we find that opinion in the Braita. The opinion was Shki'ah. Way before Tzeit HaKochavim, all the way back by Shki'ah when the sun sets. Okay. Now the Gemara is a very, very interesting Gemara. Now, Rabbatai, today's Daf is going to be easier than yesterday's. So I know it's early, but Rabbatai, now we're going to enjoy it very much now. Atzofa Hashmura. My Kasava. Everybody have the place there? It's 4 lines into the page of Daf Gimel, Amud Aleph, near the end of the line. So the Gemara asks, My Kasava Rabbi Eliezer. What does Rabbi Eliezer, what is his opinion? He said, you can say Kriyat Shema until the end. Now, Rabbatai, we're now shifting over from the beginning time of saying Kriyat Shema to the end time. This is the limit. You can't say Kriyat Shema past this time. Rabbi Eliezer was the first opinion, and he said, At Sof HaShmura HaRishonah, till the end of the first watching. What are these watchings? That means there are 3 watchings of the night, and I mean that's the simple way to explain it. But the Gemara is going to bring another opinion now. If there are 3 watchings of the night, the end of the first is the end of the first third of the night. So you take a night, you divide it into 3 parts. The end of the first third. Okay, we know that a night lasts 12 hours, 12 halachic hours. Right? We know that in the winter it lasts much less than that, in the summer more. In the equinox it lasts 12 hours. But in Gemara, in Halach, it's always 12. Just what you do is you divide that time into 12 equal parts. So sometimes it'll be 60 minutes, sometimes it'll be 65, 70, 75. Sometimes the hours will be 50 minutes or 45 minutes in order to make 12 of them. But it's 12, that's what we call 12 halachic hours, sha'ot zmaniyot. Now, these watchings are talking about the avodah of the malachim. The angels sing shirah, and there's a watching of the malachim. There's a machloket in this Gemara if there are 3 watchings or 4 watchings. So if there are 4 watchings, and he said until the end of the first watching, that means it's till the end of the first quarter, because there are 4 of them. And if there are 3 of them, and he said until the end of the first one, then it's the first third of the night. Okay? So the Gemara says, why can't he speak a little more direct? Asks the Gemara, Ma'ikasav Rabbi Eliezer. What is Rabbi Eliezer? What is his opinion? Ikasava shalosh mishmarot have halayla. If he's of the opinion that there are 3 watchings every night, lema ad abashaot. So Rabbi, the first third of the night, there are 3 watchings. He says the first third. How many hours is that? There are 12 hours. So it's the first third, it's 4. So lema ad abashaot. Let him say you have 4 hours. Why does he have to get so poetic? Speak about the watchings of the malachim. Speak about time. We're talking, it's halakha. You go to the rabbi, you say, Rabbi, what time can I say Shema, Kriyat Shema? He says, till the first watching of the night. You have 4 hours left. Speak, right? That's what the Mishnah should say. And if he's of the opinion that there are 4 watchings of the malachim at night, 4 shifts, so to speak. You see in the Zohar, you see the languages, Chavetz Chaim quotes him in many of his Svarim. There are myriads, much more than myriads, it's trillions. You see the numbers of malachim that come to sing shirah and watch by each shift. It's amazing. The numbers are staggering. But if he's of the opinion that there are 4 watchings every night, and it's the end of the first one, that means the end of the first quarter, that's a quarter of the night of 12 is 3. So leima shaloshot. So let him say you have 3 hours. Says the Gemara, La'olam kasavar shalosh mishmarot habamar. He really holds like the opinion that there are 3. So why didn't he say if there are 3 watchings, that means you have 4 hours to say Kriyat Shema? Why didn't he say 4 hours? This is what he wanted to teach us. The Ika Mishmarot Barakia, the Ika Mishmarot Be'ara. He wanted to let you know that on this world, it's not just somewhere up there in heaven, where the Malachim are saying are saying praises to Hashem, they're singing to Hashem. And we know that there are 3 of them, so the first shift goes for 4 hours, the next shift goes for 4. All right. You should know that here, down here in this world, you can know, without a watch, you can know exactly when those shifts change. I could? Yeah. And that's why he told you, instead of saying you have 4 hours, he could have said you have 4 hours to say Kriyat Shema. But he said, check down here. Check when the first watching is done. I can check. Yeah, you can check. He was teaching you that you can check. There are ways, there are simanim, there are indicators that will let you know when the first shift is over, and that's what he was trying to teach you. By the way, he taught you this too. The Tanya, because as we learned in a Braita, Tanya, whenever it says Tanya, it's a Braita. We mentioned earlier that a Braita were the teachings of the Tanaic sages, which lived in the era of the Mishnah, but they were not actually recorded into the Mishnah. And the Gemara now quotes a Braita. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Shalosh Mishmarot Have Halayla. There are 3 Mishmarot every night. Ve'al kol mishmaru mishmar Yoshem HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'sho'eg ka'ari. And at each interval, at each Mishmar, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits and, so to speak, roars like a lion. What's he roaring? In pain. He's roaring in pain about the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. Shene'emar, Hashem mimarom yish'ag, as the prophet Jeremiah, he laments, Hashem mimarom yish'ag, Hashem from abode, from a high, roars, umim'on kadsho yiten kolo, and from his holy abode, he will give voice, give sound, sha'og yish'ag al naveu. He will roar, shall he roar, about his beautiful home. Now, how many times did it say roar in this pasuk? 3 times. So that hints to the 3 times that Hashem roars at the beginning of at these shifts. Hashem roars for the Beit HaMikdash. V'siman l'davar. And the siman is Mishmar HaRishonah Chamor No'er. At the first Mishmar, the donkey brays. Donkey's makes noises. Shniya, at the second interval, Klavim Tzoakim, the dogs scream, they bark. Shlishit, Tinok Yonek Mishteimo. That's at the end of the night, near the day, the baby wakes up and nurses from his mother. The Isha Misaperet in Ba'ala. And since his wife wakes up, that's a time that she talks to her husband. She starts to begin talking to her husband at that time. So that is how you know what is going on in the heavenly spheres when these 3 things take place. And that's why Rabbi Eliezer told you, you have 4 hours. You have till the end of the first third of the night. But he wanted to let you know that you can, he called it the first watching, to let us know that we know when these watchings take place. Okay? Now, what do we have to know about when Hashem roars exactly? The answer is because Hashem wants you to cry at those times. They're very auspicious times to pray. When Hashem cries for the Beit HaMikdash and he sees that we're crying at the same time, that is Mikarev the Gula, that brings the Gula closer to Meherav Yamin. So the Gemara asks now, these simanim that Rabbi Eliezer gave, right? What are they again? The donkey braying, that's the first one. The dogs barking, and the child nursing, and the woman speaking to her husband. That's both of those are on the last one. When exactly do those take place? Says the Gemara. Itchilat mishmarot kachashiv. Are those at the beginning of the intervals? Meaning, at the beginning of the first third of the night, at the beginning of the second third, and at the beginning of the third third. Says the Gemara, if that's what he's talking about, then Tchilat Mishmara Rishonah Simana Lamali. Utahu. Then why in the world would he have to give a sign, an indicator of when the first third of the night starts? The first third of the night begins at the beginning of the night. We know what that is. That's Seita Kochavim. That's when these stars come out. Why would you have to say, oh, you know when that is? When the donkeys bray. You hear many donkeys start making their noises. Tzeitek Kochavim. It's the beginning of the night. For all the other. So why would you have to give that siman? The Isof Mishmarot Kachashiv. And if he was speaking about the end of these 3 intervals, right? The end of the first third, the end of the second third, and the end of the third third. What's the end of the third third? Daytime. So then the Gemara says that I don't understand the end. Sof mishmara achrona lama li simana. So at the end of the last interval, why would I need a siman? Yemamahu, it's daytime. It's dawn. Why would I need a siman of when the child wakes up and the wife speaks to her husband? Ella chashiv sof mishmara rishona utchilat mishmara achrona ve'emtza'ita. So the Gemara says like this. You know what it means? When the donkeys bray, that's the first siman. That's the end of the first third. The beginning of the first third, we don't need a siman. That's tzeitek kochavim. When does that first third end? We know it's 4 hours in, but they don't have clocks then. And they don't have a sundial at night. It's dark. So you want to know when it is? when the donkeys bray is the end of the first third. Do you want to know when the beginning of the last third begins? The beginning of the last third. Not the end of it, because then it's the daytime. I can tell myself. That's where the child nurses and the woman starts speaking to her husband. And the middle of the middle, which is right smack in the middle of the night, is when the dogs bark. That's chatzot. Those are the 3 times that Hashem roars. So it's not the beginning, or end. It's the end of the first third, the beginning of the last third, and the middle of the middle third. Okay? So let's talk about numbers now. The end of the last third is 4 hours into the night. Okay, the hour is always 12 hours. Just to make it easy, the equinox, let's just call them regular 12, 60-minute hours. So 4 hours in, let's say it's 6 to 6 o'clock, right? Let's say Tzeit Kochavim is 6 o'clock, just for argument's sake. And the day begins 6 o'clock. So 4 hours in is 10. At 10 o'clock, the donkeys will bray, Hashem roars for the Beit HaMikdash. Then 4 hours before the end of the night, which is, what time is that? 2 a.m., right? Hashem roars again. That's when the baby wakes up for his feeding. The wife talks to the husband. She says, go get the baby. That's maybe that's what she's telling the husband. They start talking because the baby woke up. That's when Hashem roars for the Beit HaMikdash. So we have 10 o'clock at night, 2 a.m. Now the middle is from 10 to 2. So the middle of that, when Hashem roars, that's 12 a.m. It's not a perfect March 20th, right? 12 a.m. is when Hashem roars again. Those are auspicious times. 10 p.m., 12 a.m., and 2 a.m. are times that a person should cry for the Beit HaMikdash. Tikkun Chatzot is based on this Gemara. That's what Tikkun Chatzot is. Okay? So let's continue now. V'bayitema, says the Gemara, Kulu sof mishmarot kachashiv. Now the Gemara says another possible explanation. Now we understand why Rabbi Eliezer had to write many simanim.
The Tzayda and Tzayda, it means that the Tzayda, the middle one, in the middle?
Yeah, the middle of the middle. So the middle one is from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So the middle of that is 12 a.m. So that helps us understand why he had to give simanim. Otherwise, you wouldn't know, because you can't use the beginning of the night or the end of the night, the beginning of the morning, as any indicator, because that's not the time that Hashem roars. That was one answer. The Gemara has now another possible answer. The Gemara says, Kulu sof mishmarot kachashiv. Really, Rabbi Eliezer was speaking about the end of the first third, the end of the second third, the end of the third third. V'chi tema. Okay, now, so what would that be in hours? The end of the first third, Rabbatai? 10 o'clock. The end of the second third, 2 a.m. And the end of the third, 6 a.m. So the question was, so why does he have to tell you about the baby nursing if the last one you can tell because dawn begins, right? So the Gemara says, V'chi tema, and if you're going to ask me, Achrona lo tzarich, l'may nafke mina, l'mikri kriyat shema, l'man degani bevet afel. Says the Gemara, there's a difference. Let's say a person is sleeping in a very dark home, there are no windows, and he wants to say Kriyat Shema. He doesn't know when to say Kriyat Shema. V'lo yadad zman Kriyat Shema emat. He doesn't know what time can I say Kriyat Shema. Kivan di isha misaperet im ba'ala v'tinok yonek shmishei mo, lekom v'likri. If the baby wakes up and the wives are speaking to the husbands, he can assume that is the time that dawn broke, right? Talot HaShachar. Now you can wake up and say Kriyat Shema. Okay. Amar Rav Yitzchak Bashmo Mishmei Rav. Shalosh mishmarot have halayla ve'al kol mishmar u'mishmar yoshev HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And on every single watching, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits v'sho'eg ka'ari, and he roars like a lion ve'omer, Oy labanim shebe'avonotohem hechrafti et beiti. Woe to my children that because of their sins, I destroyed my home, Beit HaMikdash, v'serafti et echali, and I burnt my inner sanctuary, v'higleitim lebein umot ha'olam. And I've exiled them to the umot ha'olam, to exile, to live amongst the nations. Tanya, it's a fascinating story here in this Braita. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said, Pam achat hayiti mehalech vaderech. One time I was walking on the way, v'nichnasti l'churva achat michurvot Yerushalayim, and I entered one of the churvot means in English the ruins of Yerushalayim. Thank you, l'hitpalel, to pray. Ba Eliyahu zachur latov. Eliyahu Navi zachur latov came to me. V'sham ali, and he watched. He became like my guard. Ala petach. He stood by the entrance of the ruin. Ad shesiyamti tfilati, until I ended my tefillah. La'achar shesiyamti tfilati, amar li. After I finished, he told me, Shalom alecha Rabbi. Peace upon you, my master. Ve'amarti lo Shalom alecha Rabbi umori. And I told him, peace upon you, my master and guide. Ve'amar li, and he told me, Bini, mepnei ma nichnasta l'churvazu. Why have you entered this ruin? Amarti lo litpalel, to pray. Ve'amar li, and he told me, although, meaning to say, Rabbi Yossi was saying, although it is some sort of danger in a ruin, as we'll see soon, but I did it for a mitzvah, and I knew that this mitzvah would protect me. So that's why I went. I didn't just walk in to eat something. I went to pray. He said, still, you should not have entered a dangerous place. You should have prayed baderech while you were traveling. And I told him I didn't want to pray on the way. Why not? I was worried maybe people would interrupt my tefillah, the people that the passerbys. Then you should have said a very short tefillah, and we call that tefillah. We'll learn about it later on in this same tractate. It's called the tefillah of Havinenu. You consolidate the whole Shemona Esrei into a very short Shemona Esrei. That's what you should have done. You should have davened the short version, and that way you wouldn't have been interrupted by people, rather than walk into a dangerous area. At that moment, I learned 3 rulings just from this story from Eliyahu Navi. Number 1, lamadati she'ein nechnasin l'churva. You don't enter a ruin. As we'll see soon, the Gemara will explain, delineate all the reasons. Number 2, v'lamadati she'mitpalalim baderech. So when you have no other place to pray, you can pray baderech, and rather than enter a ruin, and if you do, then you should pray a short version. What sounds did you hear in this ruin? Eliyahu Navi knew that he must have heard something. He said, Shamati batkol sheminahemet kiona. I heard a heavenly voice that was minahemet means like crying, like a dove. Ve'omeret, we know that the Klal Yisrael is compared to a dove. So Klal Yisrael's heavenly voice was crying from the heavens and saying, and that's what you hear in these ruins. If you have ears like Rabbi Yossi, you're able to hear. The same thing that we said before, that Hashem cries. And he said to me, Eliyahu Navi told me, I swear by your life and by the life of your head. Not only at this time that you entered the ruin, does this batkol cry those words. You should know every single day, 3 times a day, does it cry like this. Ve'onin Yehei Shmei Agadol Mivorach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Minanei Rosho Ve'omer. When all of us enter the Beit HaKnesset and we say Yehei Shmei Rabbah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shakes his head Ve'omer, and he says Ashrei HaMelech Shemekalsin Oto Bebeto. How fortunate is the king that they praise him in his home, in his palace, and they say Yehei Shmei Rabbah. Malo la'av shehiglad banam. But woe to the father who has exiled his children. V'oilehem labanim shegalu me'al shulchan avim. And woe to the children which have been exiled from their father's table. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is crying. Every time we say Hey Shmei Rabbah, Hashem cries. He says, you're praising me that my name should be great when I'm exiled. I am exiled and you're exiled. And that's why it's such a great prayer. Because Baruch Hu has so much pain. And we have so much pain when we say it. We have such longing and yearning for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to return that brings the Gula closer. And although we don't see it, we see this long dark galut, every time a person says Yehei Shmei Rabbah Varach, he's bringing the Gula closer. And many times people say, oh, you heard that story? This means that Mashiach is coming because you see what's going on with America and with Iran and with this and with that. And everybody sees little signs that like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bringing the history. He's just going like this, he's squeezing it in. We watch it daily, right? Every few months we see something else going on. That is your Yehei Shmei Rabbah. Person says, I don't see Yehei Shmei Rabbah. I say Yehei Shmei Rabbah every day. I don't see Mashiach coming. Oh, but you tell the other guy during the day hours, oh, you see that story? That's Mashiach. That's Yehei Shmei Rabbah. So a person has to really try to say Yehei Shmei Rabbah with a lot of kavanah. That's the whole point of this story. The Gemara doesn't just tell you stories about Eliyahu and Avi with Rabbi Yossi for fun, for entertainment. This story was told to us so that we should cry during Yehei Shmei Rabbah. And one more teaching is that if a person's up at these moments, at these hours, a person should say a little tikkun chatzot, a little tefillah, even in English or in Hebrew, in Spanish, whatever you want to say to him. Cry for the Beit HaMikdash. And I once heard from Rabbi Victor Miller that if you sit on the floor for a minute, it could be 1 minute. People say, I'm not going to say this. This is 10 pages only for tzaddikim. I'm not interested in saying this whole long thing. I'm a regular guy. I went to a party tonight. They had a great time with my friends. I'm going to say this. Say it for 1 minute. Even 5 seconds. You sit down on the floor. You say, Hashem, I really want you, Beit HaMikdash. I feel your pain. It's a tremendous tefillah. There are 3 reasons. Since Eliyahu Navi told him, don't enter the ruins. The Gemara wants to know why. There are 3 reasons why we don't enter a ruin. Number 1, Mipnei Hashad. So that people don't suspect you. This is very important. People don't suspect that you're doing things that are immoral. Zonot would enter the ruins. That's where they would conduct immoral acts. And therefore, a person has to be careful not to enter a place where other people suspect him of doing immoral things. Number 2, Mipnei Hamapolet. Because ruins are dangerous. And they fall. Yeah, right? They're very shaky, weak walls. Third reason is because there are destructive forces which are called shedim, and they can harm a person. The Gemara wants to know the difference between these 3 reasons. If the Gemara mentions 3 reasons, that means that there are differences. Halachic differences. Just tell me, don't enter because of one reason. And I know. No, don't enter because of this reason. Don't enter because of this reason. And don't enter because of this reason. Each reason would give you different halachic rulings. And the Gemara wants to know what they are. So the Gemara says, Mipnei Hashad b'tepek le'mishum hapolet. This is a typical Gemara. The Gemara is not satisfied with 3 reasons. The Gemara says, why would you have to tell me the first reason? If it's a dangerous structure, it's simple. Just say, don't enter because it's dangerous. Why would I have to add the reason of chashad, of suspicion? People will suspect you that you're doing something that is immoral. So the Gemara answers b'chadat, because they are new ruins. Let's say you have a brand new building, but it was forsaken. People left it, and now it's a ruin, but it's not in danger of falling. So so that's not dangerous, so I'll enter there. No, don't enter. There's another reason. It looks immoral, because people will suspect that there's someone waiting there for you. Second reason, so the Gemara says, still, why would I have to tell you that it's immoral to walk in there and people might suspect you? The third reason exists. Mazdikin. They are destructive forces. Why would I have to say, listen, it's dangerous. And even if it's not dangerous, they are shedim, they are mazdikin. That's enough. So the Gemara answers, no, but today. Because if you enter the churva with two people, it's not dangerous anymore. The destructive forces get scared of you if you come two men. Now you entered a brand new ruin, it was forsaken, with your friend, so you took care of the problem of mazdikin. So that's what you still shouldn't enter. Because people will suspect you that you go in there for something immoral. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Ibetret shanami leka." The Gemara says, if you're going in there with your friend, why would anybody suspect the person for doing something immoral? Nobody's going to go do an immoral act with his friend. So the Gemara says, "Betrei upritze." Because what happens if these two people that enter are immodest people? They breach modesty many times. These people, they're not such modest people, they're not such tzniut people. So when those two people enter, they're entering for something that's kosher. And it's a brand new ruin. It's only around for half a year. They just built it, but they forsook the building. And he has his friends, so the mazdikin are leaving. So everything's great. Not everything's great. Because since both of them are immodest, they shouldn't enter, so people should not suspect them of doing something immoral.
Let's say they are modest.
If they are modest, then they can enter. Very good.
And it's an abandoned place, right?
What?
New building.
New
New
building.
building?
New construction.
Okay. By the way, the same halacha is in Hilchot Yichud. You're not allowed to seclude yourself with a woman, but if you enter with another man, it's fine. What about if the men that are entering are not such modest men? It's not fine. Now, how do you qualify what a modest person is and what a modest person isn't? Is not so simple. It's machloket rishonim. Many rishonim hold that there's nobody that's considered modest anymore, so for sure not in these days. Okay, that's a different sugya. Be'ezrat Hashem, at the end of Kedushin, the last two pages of Kedushin, that's where the sugya of Yichud is. Okay.
So nobody's considered modest these days, so we can't. Two men can't.
That's what some, the Rambam shita is like that.
Rambam.
Yeah. Some people want to be machmir like the Rambam. Yeah, so two people wouldn't. Ask your rabbi. Because
And let's say it's three.
three might be better than two. This is talking about men, not ladies.
Yeah,
Ladies is different. Okay. Now let's continue. So now we understand why you have to tell a person that it's immoral to enter. Second.
One on the left.
One on the left.
The one on the left.
Oh. Okay, good. Right. Yeah, nice. So what's that? It's just off. Okay.
Throw you off.
Okay. So now the Gemara says, okay, what was the second reason? Because it might fall. Why would I have to tell you that reason? I already know I can't enter because it looks immoral, or because there are mazdikin, destructive forces. The Gemara says, no, because if you enter with two people, and they're kosher people, so there, now you just got rid of the destructive forces and you got rid of the suspicion. So we tell you, don't enter anyways. It's dangerous. Third reason was because there are destructive forces. Asks the Gemara, what do I need the reason of destructive forces of mazdikin I already know I can't enter because it's dangerous, or suspicion. So the Gemara answers, Bechur v'chadati, it's a new, what about a new ruin? Uvitrei uksheri. And you enter with two people and they're kosher, so there's no suspicion. So the Gemara says, Ibitrei mazikin amileka. If you entered with two, then there's no destructive forces. So the Gemara answers, Bin B'koman. Chashina. This is their hub. This is their, this is the place where they always hang out, these destructive forces. If it's known, maybe you hear noises there, it's known that this ruin is the place where the mazikin, the shedim, always hang out. This is like their home. Then two people it's not going to help. It's not going to help. You're entering their domain, their turf. And it won't help. And therefore you shouldn't enter because of mazikin. Another answer is la'olam b'chad u'v'chur b'chadati. It's talking about one person, and he's entering into a brand new ruin, so it's not dangerous. The walls won't fall. But the kai b'davra. But this ruin is standing in a desolate place in the middle of a field. Dehata mishum chshad leka. Now, no one's going to suspect you for doing something immoral. Because the isha, a woman, is not commonly found in the field. But umishu mazikin ika. But the chashash, the worry of destructive forces, still exists.
This is only for one person going alone.
Exactly. Okay. So, about that.
Going to do it, what is this at nighttime? There's mazikin out there, you shouldn't do it.
You should not enter a ruin, not only at nighttime.
It's talking about the field just now, no?
Yeah, in the field. But this is not only at night, this is daytime too. You should never enter a ruin. Haunted houses are haunted. That's why there's a thing called the haunted house. Even Goyim know about haunted houses because they're haunted. There's mazikin there. It's a real thing. Tanura banan. Abba mishmarot have halayla divrei Rabbi. Rabbi Natan Omer Shalosh. Whenever the Gemara says Tanura banan, the rabbis taught, you should know that's a braita. And here the braita mentions the machloket that we mentioned earlier. Here it is. There are 4 watchings of the night. That's the words of Rabbi. Whenever it says Rabbi, Rabbi who? Rabbi, without a name, is Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi. He was the prince of the Jewish nation, and he gathered all the teachings of the Tanaim and he wrote the Mishnah. Rabbi Natan Omer Shalosh. There are only 3 watchings, and each one lasts 4 hours. So the Gemara asks, "My Tameh de Rabbi Natan." What's the reason for Rabbi Natan? Dichtiv vayavo Gidon umea ish asher ito b'ktzei hamachaneh rosh ha'ashmaret hatichona. There's a story in the book of Shoftim, of Judges, that Gidon came with 100 men to the edge of the camp, Rosh ha'ashmoret hatichona, at the beginning of the watching of hatichona. Tana, and we were taught in another braita, ein tichona ela sheyesh lefaneh ulachaneh. Tichona means the middle. Tichona means when you have something before it and something after it. So over here it says, he came at what time of the night? During the Ashmoret HaTichona, the middle Ashmoret. If you have a middle, it means you're talking about an odd number, right? We know evens don't have middles. An odd number has something before and after. So obviously, this is a proof that there are 3 Mishmarot to the night, not 4. Because how can he come to the middle one? If there are 4, then there are 2 in the middle. He wouldn't call one of them the middle. So obviously there are 3 Mishmarot, and that's what the Pasuk teaches.
Can we talk about the end of the second one? Couldn't that also be the middle?
Oh, similar to that is what the Gemara is going to say for Rabbi. Rabbi, what does Rabbi answer? Rabbi Natan brought a great proof from a Pasuk. So Rabbi that held that there were actually 4 Mishmarot would answer my tichona of this Pasuk. You know what it means? Achat min atichona shebetichonot. It means one of the 2. Very simple. 4 also has a middle. The 2 of them in the middle, right? The 2 middle children of 4 children. So the Rabbi Natan says back to the Rabbi Natan, Miktiv tichona shebetichonot. Tichonaktiv. Does it say the middle of the middles? One of the two middles, it says the middle. The middle means there's one middle. You can only have one middle if it's an odd number, and there are three. So now the Gemara says, okay, so that's the machloket of how to understand this pasuk. Rabbi Natan, he pulled out a nice proof. He felt it was a good proof. But now the Gemara wants to know why Rabbi was so adamant and insistent that there are actually four. Maita made Rabbi, Amar Rabbi Zvika, Amar Rabbi Ami, Amar Rabbi Hoshua ben Levi, Rabbi Zvika said in the name of Rabbi Ami, in the name of Rabbi Hoshua ben Levi. Katuv echad omer, one pasuk says, Chatzot laila akum lahodot lecha mishpetei tzidkecha. That David HaMelech said, Chatzot laila, in middle of the night, I stand, I get up, to praise you for the great righteous judgments. V'chatuv echad omer, kidmu einai ashmurot, lastiach be'imratecha. Okay? Well, another pasuk says that David HaMelech says, my eyes are already up early. Ashmurot. Ashmurot is plural, which means that he woke up at least before his eyes watched two Ashmurot pass. Okay? So how is it possible to wake up midnight and still see two Mishmarot pass? HaKetzad, Arba Mishmarot, Hava Alayla. Perfect. He woke up in the middle of the night. How, if you say there are four Mishmarot, so he gets to watch two more. Right? Two pass and two are left. So therefore, there I have a proof from these psukim of David HaMelech that there are four. What does Rabbi Natan answer to that? Rabbi Natan Tzavalak Rabbi Yeshua. He's of the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua. The Tanan Rabbi Yeshua Omer Ad Shalosh Shaot Shekin Derech Melachim La'amod B'Shalosh Shaot. Now this, Rabotai, we are now shifting over to Kriyat Shema of Shacharit. What time could you say Kriyat Shema of Shacharit? From what time until what time? From the morning until, Rabbi Yeshua says, and you'll see why we're bringing this Mishnah in a minute. He says you can say Kriyat Shema from the beginning of the day until Shalosh Sha'ot, till 3 hours into the day. Why? Because the princes wake up B'Shalosh Sha'ot at the beginning of the 3rd hour. So therefore, that hour is still considered Uvkumecha, when people are standing. Who are the people that wake up the latest? The princes. They're still standing at this hour. So when David HaMelech, says Rabbi Natan, said that my eyes see two Ashmurot, he wasn't speaking about average people. I got up early, 2 Ashmurot before the average man that wakes up, like we're average people, wake up early. No. He's talking about the princes. My eyes saw. Rabbi Natan says there are only 3. There are only 3 Mishmarot. He woke up by Chatzot, right here. By Chatzot, in the middle. So how many Ashmurot are left? Only 1.5. So how can you say that I woke up 2 Ashmurot before people? Because there's only 1.5 left till the end of the night. But there are 2 complete Ashmurot before the princes wake up. Because they're not going to get up at the end of the night, at the beginning of the morning. They're going to sleep a few more hours into the day. So, the Gemara explains the math like this. From Chatzot Laila, from midnight, until the morning, how much is left over? Shit de Laila, 6 hours. Then another 2 hours left to the day till the princes start waking up, because they start waking up at the beginning of the 3rd hour. So you have 2 more hours that they're sleeping. Tarti di imama, 2 more hours of the daytime. Altogether, how many hours is that left? How many hours? It's 6 hours and 2. It's 8 hours. So David HaMelech says, I woke up 8 hours before the princes wake up, which is exactly equal to 2 Mishmarot. Because since there are 3 Mishmarot to the night, each Mishmar is now 4 hours, so 2 Mishmarot would be 8 hours. So David HaMelech says, I got up 8 hours early. Earlier than the princes. David HaMelech could talk about the princes because he himself is a king. He's saying, I am a king and I get up 8 hours before, 2 mishmarot before other princes to praise you, Hashem. Havelu shtei mishmarot. I think that we should stop here because Shacharit is starting. Okay, but
Isn't
that's
it a whole different mishmar? The extra 2 hours? Isn't it like overboard?
yes.
So it's not,
The-
it's not in that